Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to start with a little meditation, check-in, tune-in moment of peace. So if you guys have space and time for a little eye closed time, let's go for it. So we're just going to start by taking some deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. In through the nose. Out through the nose. Letting the breath slow down in through the nose. And out through the nose. And slowly letting the breath get slower. Maybe the attention comes down a little into the heart space. Letting that breath just continue gently in and out. Just going to start with a little gratitude and say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your energy. And we're going to bring our hands or one hand to the heart, depending on if you're holding a camera. And gently breathing into this space in through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. We're just going to imagine this space in our heart is breathing with us in and out gently as our nose does. And it's almost like our breath is saying, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for making time for yourself to show up in a space designed to reflect, to hold, to love, to share. And we're just going to imagine a beautiful white light coming all the way down into the crown. And it's going to move quite quickly today. It's going to feel like water dripping into the body, but it's going to look like almost liquid gold. This beautiful golden energy just dribbling all the way down from the crown. Letting that breath quicken a little, deepen a little, but nice and consistent as this beautiful energy enters the crown and down into the brain, the third eye. Nice deeper breaths now. Letting this energy come all the way down, clearing, cleansing, aligning, releasing through the mental body, in our heads, all the sinuses, the backs of the eyes, gently relax. Let it come down, 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 down into the throat. Nice gentle breaths. Let it go down, down, down. Beautiful golden energy. Down, down, down. Into the shoulders, all the way down the arms, into the hands and out the palms, into the heart. Letting it rest gently here for a minute as we take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, letting it sink deeper down. This beautiful golden light is going to continue down the shoulders, into the chest, down the back. Letting the breath get deeper. All the way down, the light continues down the back, down the stomach, inside of all of your beautiful organs, making them clear, cleansed, align, releasing all that no longer serves in this moment. And so it is. Nice deep breaths in. All the way down, 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 into the hips, into the legs, the thighs, the knees. Making sure that root center is really grounded as we've let it all flow in. The gold is everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Down the knees, down the shins, into the feet and out the bottom. Nice deep breaths in and out. Imagining roots growing from the bottom of the feet, taking this beautiful golden energy all the way down into the earth. Down, 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 down. Nice, quick moving energy. Down, 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 down. Down into the center of the earth. Gentle breathing here to adjust and release. Everything is working out best case scenario. And so it is. Gently releasing the attention back up to the heart space. Letting our bodies find equilibrium, calibrate to the best case scenario, the highest possible frequency for us in this moment. Giving the heart a nice gentle rub, little massage. Maybe a little movement in the body, back and forth or side to side. Maybe you want to wiggle the neck a little. The shoulders. Whatever feels good for you. And we're going to go for a tap on the heart center. Tapping the heart, clear, cleanse, align, release, clear, cleanse, align, release. And in 3, 2, 1, eyes open, wherever you are. Just coming back, keeping the tapping going, tapping going, tapping going, tapping going, tapping going, tapping going. Gentle breaths. Nice gentle breaths. Maybe you want to have a little look around the room as the tapping slowly stops, gets less and less gentle, gentle, gentle. Just curious. What's in your room? What's around you? And slowly back into the body, letting the shoulders roll. Maybe a little twist. If it feels good. Oh, I love a good twist. Oh, and take a nice deep breath in. Or a cough. And just let it out. Oh. A few more of those. Inhale. Let out whatever you need. Yeah. Last one. In. And out. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My screen has gone completely black, so I don't know if you're still there. Yeah, you are. Okay, great. Hi. Thank you for that. So, I thought we could start today with a little how are we share, given that it's a nice kind of intimate group. We can share as much or as little as we choose. If you don't feel comfortable speaking about yourself at the moment, you can comment on general experiences or something nice that's happened today, something not nice that's happened today. What fills your boat in this moment? Would either of you like to go first, or shall I?
I mean, I just I saw because I keep seeing your messages, but I never attended any of the circles.
Yes.
So I thought, well, maybe I wasn't doing anything today. So I thought, let me give this a go, see what
Yeah.
happiness I can get.
How do I put a reaction? My screen's frozen. There we go. Hi. Yeah, so sorry, Beck, were you going to say something?
No.
No, I just the camera switched. Yeah, so welcome. I suppose everything happens in the right time. I was actually thinking about how I wanted to restructure everything that I've been doing in this context anyway. So there's some new faces for the live event. So maybe we can switch it up or see what happens today. But Yeah, each week is usually different, or each session is usually different. So everyone's energy matters. Everyone's energy is a co-creative part of the experience. So yeah, depending on who arrives is kind of how the structure flows. But I'm looking at creating a lot more structure in terms of consistency moving forward. So consider this a nice little experimental session for us all.
Cool.
How are you doing, Beck? How's life?
It's busy. Always busy. I make it busy though. I shouldn't, but I do. Always something. Yes. Are you in the UK? Jack, is it Jignesh?
Yeah, yeah, it's Jignesh. Yeah, yeah, I'm in the UK. Yeah. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, I'm here as well. East Anglia.
Are we all like reflectors here?
Are you as well?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's literally only Mason in the chat that isn't a reflector, but we didn't even check that. It just kind of happened and I never really remembered. But yeah, it's nice that pretty much everyone else there, and obviously everyone here, is a reflector, which was the sole purpose for this little circle originally. Maybe we're
Yeah.
getting back to the origins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, something I've been reflecting on a lot recently are boundaries. This is the
Yeah.
first thing that's coming into my head today that we could kind of branch into.
Mm.
So that obviously branches off nicely from what I was just sharing. Boundaries and creating structure in what we're doing, in the spaces that we're showing up, how we're showing up, what boundaries we have with ourselves. I have a great coach called Shoshana Raven. I don't know if either of you have heard of her before. She's a projector, but she's utterly incredible. She talks about how you do one thing is pretty much how you do everything. And I've been looking at that in relation to being a reflector and the kind of different stages of a month that we have, and how we're kind of accelerating our process or slowing it down depending on our perspective of timey-wimey woo-woo stuff. What that looks like in terms of creating a consistent practice, creating a consistent business, or creating a consistent relationship with yourself, with other people. So do either of you have a pen and paper nearby? It's okay if you don't. We can just do it verbally.
What did you want? What did you want to write?
Well, that's going to be a surprise. The element of surprise. Oh,
I got I got my book with me because I thought we might. I don't know if you guys have read this book yet, the
what
Human
is it?
Design book.
Oh, nice.
Is
You-
that Jenna Zoe's one?
This is Linda Bruno. Bruno.
Oh.
Okay.
Would you like
Yeah.
to deliver us any messages from the book? You can do that at the
What,
end if you like. Yeah.
what do you want to know?
Well, I tell you what, we'll do a little journal first, and then at the end, when we have a bit of time, you can flick to a random page. We can do the magic book answer. Has anyone ever done that before? You
Yeah.
ask a
We can
question and you flick to a random page to get the answer.
yeah, we can do that. There's a lot of like reflectors in here as well.
Nice. Nice. Well, we'll start with a journal and then we'll go for a flicky booky magic time because I like that. Thank you for bringing your magic book.
Yeah, because yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Nice. Love it. Okay, friends. So the first thing I want you to do is write the word boundaries at the top of the page.
This is something I find so difficult to do.
So we're now just going to give it a definition, like a vague definition. What does a boundary mean to you? How do you view them? Is it more of an energetic thing, or is it a physical placing of a location? Like, how do you relate to the word boundary in of itself?
Mm.
Just just kind of let it out as it comes to you. So, for example, I've written physical time and structure, space, mental space, attention. Just let the brain flow with whatever comes. Just give me a little thumbs up when you're done. No hurry. And maybe I'd need more than that because my screen is frozen.
Hmm.
I think I'm done. I don't really. Yep.
That's all right. Perfect. Would either of you like to share? Or do you need a bit more time, Beck? Sorry.
No, you're right.
I only kind of put one thing down. It means more energetic to me. Like
Nice.
having energetic boundary, but that sometimes doesn't work.
Right.
I feel like I'm pushing things out instead of. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm pushing things away. So
Interesting.
to have a boundary is quite difficult energetically. I think it's energetically works more than the physical first. So having energetic like boundaries can allow the physical boundaries. Like if you have a physical boundary, it doesn't matter because energy still comes through. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a way that we relate to it, isn't it? Like for me, for example, it's slightly different. It's almost like if I have my physical space, I'm
Yeah,
a very physical being, I think, quite like that's the way I experience my spirituality or my world is through the physical like touch. My highest sense or my heightened sense in the human design is touch as well. So it does kind of make sense to know our designs in terms of how we relate. But for me, it's like if I have physical space, I can have mental space. But for example, if I'm
yeah.
like around a lot of people, if there's a big crowd, if there's loads of people around and loads of like intense energies, then it's more challenging for me to always kind of center myself in that like more grounded perspective or mental perspective of like, okay, it doesn't have to take from me. This is my inner world, you know. But I know that that's a very personal thing. For example, it depends on what kind of we're relating to in that moment. Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
I find based on what you've just said as a reflector too, even if it's a positive, happy situation, I'll take on then the excitement of somebody else and then make it my own, even though I'm like, why am I being excited about this? Like, why do I need to be impulsive about making a decision because everyone else is excited about it, but it's not for me. So yeah, as you say, remove yourself from that energy to then think, oh, I don't really want that at all.
To feel how you're really feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we, as reflectors anyway, I feel like we can cultivate that feeling wherever we go, but it's almost like having the capacity to do that, like practice it over and over and over and over. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a meditation I've been doing a lot recently that really helps. It's like imagining a bubble. It starts at my heart and it just gets bigger. And it's encompassing my space. I can imagine it how I want it to be. Like I've got trees and I've got, a lake, or I've got fairy lights or whatever it is that I want in that space with all the things that I feel I need in that moment. And I have that space to take with me. So, for example, if I'm in a physical space where I have to make a decision, I just kind of go to that place and I'm like, okay, it feels good, or okay, it doesn't feel good. And if I change my mind after that, it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, it's natural, right? Even people, well, especially people who aren't reflectors, also change their minds too. So it's okay. But yeah, I love that that mirroring, that reflection of like creating an identity based off of the boundaries, I think can be very helpful for a reflector. But that's sort of my spin on it, I suppose. I think it takes a bit of, it's not a process I would say I've fine-tuned particularly, but it's definitely emotion in the ocean, as it were.
So I'm guessing like if you're in like a quiet space, it's easy to have boundary. But if you're not, then it's very hard for the reflector to have a boundary.
I guess it depends on the strength
Because
in that moment. Like,
yeah,
one thing I've
yeah.
noticed is the core identity of the reflector is very important from my experience. And again, I think everyone's different, but in the sense of, does someone have a strong identity that they relate with in all through their cycle, all through their year? What does that look like to them? Who are they in that moment? Who do they relate to as coaches, as idols, as people they rely on? Like, what kind of structure of support have they got in their lives? And yeah, how do we spend our time, right? Like, do we spend a lot of time with other people or not with other people? Because, for example, someone who has quite a nice half and half might be really good at sort of disassociating or detaching or just placing things in a box in a healthy way and coming back to it when they have the space and time and capacity to process and move through. Or does someone have that kind of strength of being an identity that they carry this internal space with them as a reflector and can process in the moment what is happening, allowing it to flow through? And I think we all will go through stages of doing both at some point, right? It's kind of like the joys of the flexible being, the change. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think if you have kind of similar energy or similar understanding, or you feel like anything to add in that realm. Please feel free.
So I've written, for me, I've written 4 points. I've got boundary is something that protects something. So whether that be like your ego or who
Protection.
you perceive yourself to be.
Like
And
that.
then I find boundaries are then movable as we grow and transform. So we might be quite reserved with somebody initially, but then the boundaries might relax as we get to know them more, maybe physically, sexually, as a relationship.
Beautiful.
Sometimes they're not always transparent as well.
Ooh, nice.
And then I've written cultural norms makes us make assumptions as well, which could tie in with they're not always transparent. So we might assume something's okay with somebody, but it might be completely different depending where you are in the world.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. It made me think actually of like permeable and non-permeable membranes. You know, like that kind of idea that we can shift and change the strength of a boundary based off of our internal intuition, I guess, and also the kind of reception that this inner knowing has of how we'll be received by these people or that person or that situation, that culture even. I think we have a lot more awareness of potential danger than we realize, and maybe not always is an overreaction, I think, anyway. Maybe that's just a perception of some kind, but yeah, I love that. It got me excited. Authentic excitement, reflector excitement.
Following your excitement.
Follow the excitement. Exactly. Yeah. So if we were kind of going to build on this idea of a boundary and we feel into our own lives, and this is where it can be shared or not shared depending on how you guys are feeling in yourself. I'm probably going to share mine because I don't really mind so much, but please keep yours how you want to, share as you wish. But I'd like you to sort of feel into a particular boundary in your life you're having a back and forth with. So sometimes it's this, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's more challenging. Is there something that comes to your mind? And if you can feel something, just give me a little thumbs up and we'll move forward. Jig, I love that photo or that picture in the background. It's glorious.
Thank you.
So Yeah, it's really peaceful.
Yeah, it's from Thailand.
Ooh,
Someone drew in Thailand, yeah. You know, the hand painters.
beautiful.
Mm.
It is very peaceful.
Mm.
Water, I think reflectors are connected with water quite a bit. I think
Yeah,
the energy, the water, the nature.
Mm.
love it.
Delicious.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
want to say, you know, like this book I read. I'm reading this book and it talks about generators.
Mm.
And generators are kind of like dominant energy. It's like they have a very dominant energy. So they can sometimes overtake your boundary because their sacral or whatever is quite dominant. So their yes will overpower your yes.
Mm.
Because have you ever experienced something like this? Like, because in the book it says, and it made me look. So when it comes to boundaries,
Yeah.
when you like and you're around a dominating energy, how do you deal with your boundaries? But do you have a
Mm.
problem or can you?
My partner's a generator, and I was
Yeah,
definitely very. I don't know. It might have been circumstantial or situational, to be honest. But yeah, he's very energetic in that way. Definitely feel that.
do you feel like he overpowers your choices in some sense, or your like?
Yeah, I think so. But then I don't know whether that's being a generator in particular or him and his not self as well. It's hard to say.
Right.
I'm not sure specifically.
What do
Like
you
you find it
like?
difficult to say what you want because
Yeah,
of
and I
his.
think yeah, tying that back to Hannah's question, standing up for myself can be really hard. So setting that boundary of like my opinion matters as well, or what I need to say needs to be heard. Sometimes I'm not strong enough to stand up and set that. Um, yeah, so that's something I need to work on. Or picking the right audience to share that sort of my information or my opinion too.
Yeah. What do you feel like is your mirror for yourself in that moment? Like, what do you feel like you embody the most when, say, for example, your partner's just said something that you don't agree with, but you don't have the words to articulate, or you feel like maybe your opinion has been brushed over in some way? In that moment, what are you most aware of in yourself?
It's the throat. It's like, yeah, it's like a block, a physical block where I can't
Yeah.
speak, I would say. And I don't know many people that have experienced that before.
I have.
Yeah. So it's like
Like,
you go,
I kind of know what that is as well because it's the other person actually projecting that sometimes on your throat for you to not say nothing. It's quite energetic, but it's
mm,
yours as well. You can also feel the projection. Like they don't actually want you to say anything. It's quite strange. So I've had it
mm,
many times. So it's like it's
yeah,
not just yours. Like it's yours a little bit and it's projected on so you kind of not say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
that's interesting.
You know,
I feel like
I've had it many times. You know, so I kind of know sometimes it is that. When you said that, that's what came to me straight because I've
Mm,
had these experiences. Yeah,
I feel like we could work with this as a team now, because I think I know we've all experienced it. And I also feel like there's many times in life where we have something to share and we don't necessarily have the outlet to share it. And I think that can also create that block. That's what is the mirror in that
yeah,
moment, right? That's the attracting. That's why we are a match to that experience, is because in other areas of our lives, we don't have an expression or a way of releasing a certain part of ourselves. So thus we have been fronted with the physical mirror of it, usually with people that we're close to, right? People who are like in our lives more frequently, they become the catalyst for this mirror, because, you know, even though we are beautiful divine mirrors, we are also the ones experiencing the mirroring in this crazy divine little endless mirroring act that we have with the universe. So if we could just now draw a little mental image in our heads and our hearts of the last time this happened. When was the last time we felt this bubble? If you can kind of feel into that. If you don't have a mental image, that's okay. Just kind of intending upon feeling that. And once you feel like you have a feeling of it, just ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this? And just let your being take you back. Go back into the time machine. Maybe place a hand at the throat. That might be helpful too. Just gentle breathing in and out. Through the nose. When was the first time I felt this? And we don't need to create a mental story about when it was or who was there. We don't need to take any blame or feel any pain involved. We're just questioning. We're not going to go deep, dark in. Just gently observing. And you might find that there's an energy tightening around your throat. You might find yourself even distancing yourself from this if you're not quite in the present moment of being able to see this or feel this for yourself. But just kind of taking what comes up and consciously intending, I'm completely here with myself right now. I'm completely safe to witness this, to feel this, to understand this as best I can.
This is so cool.
Thank you. I'm just taking gentle breaths. And we're going to imagine that beautiful bubble again that I told you about before. If we just imagine a bubble in the throat. And we're going to breathe with our mouth in and out. And the bubble is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Ready? Just keep getting that bubble bigger and bigger and bigger. Now my bubble wants to go above my head. Just notice where the bubble wants to move. Does it want to go around you or does it want to go up above you? Is it looking for release or is it looking to be felt? What does it need? Don't control, just let the bubble decide. Giving the neck a little roll. Okay, now stop. Gently take an inhale in through the nose. Holding at the top. As we hold, we're just going to observe the bubble. Where is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is it doing? What does it want? Where is it? Just letting this information not speak to us in words, but just a gentle understanding that it's going to do what it needs to do, and we can trust ourselves. We can trust ourselves. Oh, isn't this great? We can just trust it to the spirit and gently release. Let it all out. Taking that breath twice more. Hold as long as you need in your own time. Ready, inhale in. Notice the bubble. And when you exhale, just letting the whole body relax, letting the bubble do what it needs to do. knowing that it's big enough, strong enough, can take care of itself. The final breath, I want you to imagine as we hold at the top, it's about to pop. And we're just going to say anything we want to say or mentally express to the bubble. Just a thank you for being here. I'm so sorry that I've kept you in. I love you so much. Please forgive me for not knowing how to express you. And as we exhale, letting the bubble float above our head or just pop around us. Letting it pop in the distance if that's what needs to be. Just having your own process and experience with this. And gently bring the breath back to the nose, in through the nose, out through the nose. Feeling a circular energy in the throat center, just making all of this space. Making the space bigger, stronger, safer. I am so safe to express. I can trust my yes. I can trust my decision. I am safe to change my mind. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Nice gentle breaths. Gently opening the eyes when you have the capacity. Keeping the breath nice and even. And when you have space, I'd love for us to just quickly write down anything that came up, as in just a word. If you feel like you're still processing, you can just write processing. If you feel like there was a color you want to remember or a thought or a feeling, just let that dribble into the page. And if you feel called to maybe share a truth with the page first or with us, please feel free to take the reins, take the mic, as it were.
What did you say, Heather?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just take a second to share the truth with the page that's come out that you feel. And if you want to share, please just take the mic and share with us in the moment. Whatever feels so called. I've had some really interesting things come up. Have you guys finished your writing process, or do you need a little more time?
I think I'm
Fine. Yeah. You good, Jig?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. You want to? You can
Maybe
have
I
another.
just because I didn't get so much. I just share one thing and then.
Yeah, go for it.
I just thought because we were talking about a throat, it just went back to like childhood, like not specific memories, but just the awareness that when you're a
Feeling.
child, you also get projected on or something not to say something, but you don't realize that as you're a child that people don't want you to say things like in school, at home, whatever. So you kind of like energetically adapt to that kind of way, if that makes sense. Because I thought it was just to do with adulthood. Actually, it's not. It goes down to when you're young, and even your parents may not want you to say something, you know. So you're not given the choice to express yourself
Yeah.
as from childhood. That's
Everyone
what
wants
came
to
to
be
me.
right. Everyone wants
Huh?
to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Cool.
I was the same as well at school. I remember being sent to the principal's office because I told my teacher that she'd written something wrong on the board.
Yeah, things like this, like
And,
you're not
and I
allowed to
was right.
correct. Yeah. But we don't
So,
realize as a child that it can have a lot of impact on you because you
yeah.
know, energetically kind of lock it in. Like, oh, this is a bad thing. I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
I can almost feel a lock here. Like sometimes energetically, I do like a little practice. I don't know if this will be helpful, but take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. But I imagine having like a little lock here, especially as I'm starting to share more online or I'm starting to have more clients or whatever. And I feel like that kind of, what do I just imagine like a little key and a lock. And I've got the key the whole time. It's my key. Someone can tell me it's locked, but it's my fucking key. So, and it's just like an energetic affirmation, I suppose, that we have the power to unlock that at any time. And holding that key is the difference between saying something and not saying something. I've actually considered like buying a little key just to have around my neck as well, just as like this little, like I can speak, it's safe, If someone doesn't react well, it can be like there's a beautiful teal swan meditation. If I don't know if you guys know it, but she talks about like going into the ocean and then the waves of the emotions, just like the other people's emotions, they're just flowing around you, they're just in and out and in and out, and you're here in the middle with all of this space and yum yum yum. Like it doesn't matter what happens, if they're angry, if they're sad, if they distance, if they go intensely close to you. But yeah, I had some really weird, or not weird, I suppose they are all quite relevant given our conversation, but I've got silence is golden, silence is power, and then I've put let my song be heard, for myself first, make time for me, structure the process, trust self first, don't buy into another's bullshit, and shoving it down your throat. So those were the things that kind of came up for me when I was feeling into this space. And particularly like my right side of my neck always feels more like pain, almost like tightness. And I think that's usually correlated with the masculine side. So for example, I had quite a powerful father with a powerful voice. Well, I still do. He's mellowed a lot in his age and process. But there's a real force behind that. And I know that I have a real force with my words, for example. And I know that I have the power to say things that really hit people in a certain place if I choose to, right? So when I've been quick to anger, or if I've not been emotionally regulated, I can really say the thing that hurts someone the most. I know that about myself. So it's also like the power of the throat is our responsibility too. So like balancing those boundaries with other people and respecting other people, and also having that boundary of being able to speak up for ourselves, because we wouldn't have the mirror in the outer world if we didn't have it inside also. So yeah, that was just a nice reflection for me in that process of taking ownership of those times where I've maybe not respected another person's boundaries, or I've spoken quite harshly or with my heart closed out of pain, or that kind of process. So there's a definite balancing, I think, of like moving away from being a victim or being a perpetrator, moving away from that energy and claiming both, holding both, sharing both, saying that's where I'm coming from and I'm evolving into that next stage of balance, that next stage of communication, that more conscious level of communicating and understanding and feeling. Yeah, I think that's our journey, right? We're continuously evolving into that awareness of like, how can we be more balanced, or how can we feel better in this moment? How can we have better relationship dynamics with ourselves, with the people in our lives? Yeah. Is there anything that you guys feel on that front that you'd like to run with?
No, that was pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for hearing. I appreciate you guys a lot.
I think your throat chakra opened up there or something.
Well, I got the key, remember? You just
You
fucking
just
open
put the
it.
key. Remember to put the key.
She does it all
No.
the time. Yeah, there's so many fears that come up though, aren't there? Stuff like
That's a
that.
cool technique though. I like that. Just put the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're ultimately just big kids, aren't we? I am anyway. So the power of the imagination actually goes quite far. I remember tutoring a kid at school when I was teaching in Spain. And the kid had like quite a struggle speaking English. Just because he didn't speak English at home, dad and mum only spoke Spanish. All the kids at school would speak English and he felt like he couldn't connect with them. So we used to practice the key, and he would say, this is my English voice, this is my Spanish voice, this is my English voice, this is my Spanish voice. And he was making the differentiation. And I realized that it was helping me learn Spanish through his evolution in that way. I was like, oh, I can just do the same. You know, like I thought of this great thing for this kid who didn't know how to do it, or he was like trying to find ways to understand why he couldn't do this the way everyone else did. But yeah, I think we just find what works for us, right? Like maybe someone's got a zip, or like the bubble. I love the bubble. I'm very visceral. So, you know, but also just hums, you know, people that work with sound, like the Om Mani Padme hum, all of the Om, the general movement of this area is fantastic as well. I think it just depends on how you best flow.
I found a lot of what's the word? Transformative times in my life. I've always gone back to singing.
Ooh,
So
love that.
I've noticed I'll listen to podcasts for a really long time, but then as soon as something's going on or something's about to change, I'm just drawn to music. And I'll listen to music all day, every day. And then as soon as I feel like it's okay again, I'll go back to podcasts. And it's like,
Delicious.
why? Or I'll sing, or it's like I'm trying to, that's my release. Very strange.
Glorious. I find echoes in my life too. Like, as you can tell, the big gaming headphones actually I only use now because of the sound quality for music. It's like great. Have a little bit of me time looks like music in so many ways, you know, because obviously my work is energetically with other people. It's like a lot of learning, it's a lot of growing, it's a lot of accepting things, it's a lot of like hard truths sometimes to kind of come to terms with in your life. And it's just like sometimes we need to be taken out of our story, right? We just need this kind of all immersive experience, and music is just, as you can tell, I feel you. What about you, Jig? What do you do when you feel like things are kind of more heavy in your life? What sort of processes do you turn to?
Mostly, I just go out in nature and I spend a lot of time on my own, away from people, well away from people. And just sitting in nature kind of just helps me recollect my thoughts and get like remove any kind of emotional charge and things like this.
Delicious.
Well, I have found recently playing the djembe, you know, the music, like you're talking about music. There's a drum, so like sometimes like playing the drums kind of helps as well. If I can't get to nature, I'll just sit there and just like pick one beat and I'll just try and repeat that beat as long as I can. And every time I see that me going off beat, I kind of know my mind's in the way, so I kind of bring myself there. I'm practicing this technique, like, but nature is the best. Just going out in nature.
You have given me the best idea in the world. We are gonna have a reflector music bash or a reflector music jam.
I mean,
We've
I'm
got a
not.
guitar in the
I
background.
don't play music. I don't play. I just
That's
like
okay.
learning.
No, we're gonna flow. We're gonna go completely. You don't have to be a professional. We're just gonna come. We're gonna find a flow. We're gonna mix. We can mute ourselves if we really want, but just that we're all consciously in one place, sharing and expressing and channeling in our way, right? Because ultimately, the music and the nature are ways of expression and perception that don't use the words. So when the throat chakra is learning to feel safe, what is better? What, and actually more feeling based, it
Can I?
is more
Can I?
reflective. Yeah,
Can I show
carry
you
on.
something? Because the journal you told me, I wasn't really writing much. I was kind of
That's okay.
drawing things, and I was drawing like if you could see, like musical notes. I don't know why. I was just sitting there. I just keep drawing musical notes for some reason. And I was like, why am I doing this?
Okay, you can tell I'm a little bit excited, but I'm okay with this. Genuine music
Oh
excitement.
my god.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Okay, this is awesome. Okay, I can't stop smiling now. I'm gonna just put that in my little
That's so funny.
writing diary. Lovely. Well, we're coming up to an hour now. Jig, would you like to do a closing magical book flick for us? We can hold a little question or just be open to receive whatever. Whatever you guys feel. Because I love a good magic
Yeah.
book flick.
I'll just pick any page.
Yeah, flick it. Choose
Or
what
do you
feels
want
good.
to know specifically about Reflector or something?
Well, we can do that if you want, but I'd like a magic flick first. We can do both. We have time. Why pick one when you can have it all?
All right, so I landed on this page, so I'll just read this page, yeah.
Beautiful.
We are here to be conscious, and beyond consciousness, we're here to have the potential of awareness. And beyond awareness, we have the potential of awakeness. But first, one has to accept that what it means to be conscious, and that consciousness is about us being filters. We filter consciousness, and as it filters through, as we then put it back out into the greater consciousness field, it goes through us and goes out. We float we float densely in the neutrino ocean. The real magic is understanding that we are taking in and reading the consciousness field. And we are reading the consciousness field in that in the way in which it relates to each and every one of us uniquely. Human design shows us how we are designed to filter consciousness, and that we can give guidance when we are correct filters. And every correct filter changes the way in which everyone else gets information. We are changing the quality of the neutrino ocean. Each of us creates a unique interference pattern. That's what differentiation is, a unique interference pattern. The interference pattern can actually be measured down into the minute. I don't know if that made sense to you.
Yeah, it really does actually. Like it was a nice little tickling of something I didn't know I needed, but I really appreciated hearing. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just a quote by Ra, or not a quote, but it was kind of like, I don't know if you can see it. It's like, I landed on this page, but I just thought I'd read the whole thing.
Love it.
Like line 5.
So, yeah, so
Interesting.
interference. So yeah, so we are all our own unique filters of consciousness.
I love that. I think we can really feel that in the reflector, can't we?
We literally
Yeah.
filter, don't we? Through everything.
I love it.
Mm.
I love the idea of being a filter as well. I think, well, we can make that filter as big or as small as we want as well. Like if we link that in with the boundaries perspective, I know that I once heard someone describe relating boundaries to being a filter, you know, and having like this filter of protection around you. But also for me, it feels good to have like a big air. I don't know why, but it just feels good for me to have this expansive area in my energy field or brain imagination. And then the outside being almost like that permeable membrane that can allow in or release out, you know, because I think it gives us a little more power in our identity, whether or not that's, you know, completely down to the energy of how it works. I don't know exactly, but I know that it certainly helps me create boundaries and space in my reality. So yeah, it
Yeah, I
really
think you
fits
were
in
in
nicely.
there. It was like it was what I got from there was like you already are the filter, but your filters consciousness differently than anybody else's.
Mm,
It's like I don't think you need to work on your filter.
mm.
It's more allow your filter to kind of
Function.
process the consciousness.
Oh, book bag.
as it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'll just do the last reflective bit, yeah. So the fears reflected deal with when they begin to live as themselves are. Who am I right now? Can I be myself? Will I remain invisible or will somebody see me for my difference and include me and my reflections? Am I able to move freely within my environment so I can find my place? Without a fixed identity, how can I keep, without my fixed identity, how can I keep from taking on the anxiety, fear, nervousness, and ill health of the not self world around me? These are the fears reflectors face. According to this book.
True.
Delicious. The one that made me feel the most seen was, will someone see me? Will someone see me for my differences and appreciate those differences? I feel like I have like a story or a set of beliefs that I classify as my identity that kind of nurture a lot of the other fears. But the one for me that I feel is like I hope to be meeting by having these reflection circles and maybe creating a space that is only for reflectors is sort of helping me in that way. I don't know, but I think for me the most like visceral fear I have is that will anyone ever see me for who I am? Or am I always going to have people in my life projecting who they think I am in a way that feels real to me? Like, am I going to lose myself in that again? You know, that kind of fear is, yeah, I felt very seen by those questions. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything that came up for you guys that you want to share or you feel called to share?
I think this question, who am I right now, kind of, because I feel like every day, not even just day, but during the day, I feel different all the time. You know, there's not like, oh yeah, look, that's Jig. You know, it's more like I'm just kind of changing all the time. So I can keep after asking myself, like, who am I right now? You know, like I think I feel like I have to ask this question, otherwise I kind of don't know. I mean, it helps.
Yeah, yeah. The questioning process is so magic, isn't it? Just by, I think, asking the question and letting that arise in the moment, however it wants to come, that's the most authentic expression of the reflector. As you rightly
Yeah.
say, I think it's some sort of soothing process. I like it.
It's interesting in this group that I'm feeling into. Usually, when I go into different groups and that, I might act out something or might something like that's not me or I'm free. But yeah, it feels kind of neutral in a way.
I'm
Pretty
glad
cool.
to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the intention I hoped for originally. So it's lovely for me to hear that as you reflect now, because I think a lot of the time a reflector's design is to be almost a mentor or to show the divine path to the stuckness, right? But when you have a group of reflectors, this is what I notice anyway, the stuckness just isn't there. You know, it's like you just all move and flow in the same direction because you're all like, okay, well, we know we have different filters, different perceptions, but that ultimately our connection is one and the same. And that connection between us, I feel, doesn't change either. That understanding that this person, regardless of our story or where we are in the world, even though we're all in the UK, very cool, we're all going to understand each other to a certain extent. There's going to be this almost visceral understanding, right? So yeah, I'm really grateful that you feel safe to be here, and hopefully we can all meet more frequently in some way, shape, or form.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for creating this.
It's my pleasure. It's yeah, it's selfish, really. It's just, it's a selfish reason because I want to feel that connection with people who I feel see me too. And not that people who are defined can't see us as we are, but I think you're right that sometimes there is an energy that's evoked inside of us that we undertake, we play out with them, and that's our role. Like, that's why we're here, right? We're reflectors. We're 1 in a million, right? Of course we've got 1 in 100, whatever we are. But you know, we've got to find ways that meet our needs too. And I think we deserve to say that we want community, or we want extra feeling, or whatever it is that we know we need for ourselves. So from my perspective, it's like, well, I feel a gap in my life, or I feel like there could be more love in that space. So that's why I create this space, is because I feel like a lot of reflectors, I feel, have felt the same. And it's something I want to work with. Like, as I get more experience, I would love to solely work with reflectors. But I think that that's going to take me a little bit of time to kind of build myself and understand my design a little bit more, study a little bit more. So this was almost a way for us to have this community that, in essence, eventually I wouldn't be running, as it were. It would sort of run itself. It would be like the reflection community in a big or small package, however many of us are really attracted to this space. But yeah, there is a general plan for this reflection circle vibe. We'll just have to wait and see how it evolves, whatever that looks like. Yeah. How about you, Beck? How you doing?
Did Becky, did you have anything
Yeah.
with the fears?
I don't know, as Hannah said, it's just that feeling of being seen. Like, I've got a lovely group of friends that I've been friends with for a year now, who are way more spiritual and down to earth than I've ever sort of had before. But even then, most recently, I've sort of felt quite withdrawn because I feel like there's still parts of me that they just don't get, or like yeah, like I don't feel heard or seen. But it's just simple things like validation from them, like that they actually heard what I said. It's not even like, yeah, you're right. It's more just like,
Do
oh,
you hear me?
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, they don't have to agree or disagree. They just need to know that I've said something and then they heard it. That's all.
the real shit right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what? I read something in this book about what you just said there, and it tells you to kind of just be quiet and don't say, because you might feel like, oh, I should say something. You don't say nothing. You kind of wait until you've been asked. When you wait and you've been asked, then they hear it. It's strange. Like you feel like, oh, I should say something, but you just hold back. And then until they ask you, when they ask you, they're more willing to receive what you're gonna say, and the information comes out more clear from your side as well.
That's
That's
beautiful.
projector.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
Yeah, but yeah,
We do have an element of that, don't we?
yeah, but I read it was to do with reflected. It was like just wait, like you, like because you pick up like, oh, I should say this, do this, but most of it's not yours. It's like other people you're picking it up on as well. So it's just like you
Yeah.
wait, and then when they ask you, your kind of voice comes out that gives the information, and they receive it and they respect it more. So it's not about just talking all the time. Just so that you know.
Yeah.
It might be hard for a reflector to do that because they always pick it up and all and stuff like that. So
That's
just
so
to let you know.
fascinating. I so resonate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
learned to wait, and I think I said just learn to shut up. That's what he said.
I think we need
That's my
outlets.
public.
No, we need
Mm.
outlets. Like we need spaces like this. We need spaces in our world, like journaling or singing
Yeah.
or talking. Like we need ways we can express what we're experiencing. Because I think you know what you've just touched on there, Beck, is really important. Like that kind of back and forth, right? Reciprocated energy. And I think this
Yeah.
even links in with the boundaries a little bit because it's like our word is to be respected. And also, we don't need to waste our breath or our energy when it's not being heard, right? Because it might be being heard by us. So maybe that's the most important thing, that we need to say that we need to express that or feel that. How does that sound when we say it? And taking the energy away from if they are receiving it or not. Because yeah, you're right. Like sometimes for me anyway, maybe it's not the same for everyone. I have to say this is coming through me, and whether or not this person's ready to hear it, it has to come through. And so either I'm ready to say something and it comes out in a really heart-centered way, and the person kind of doesn't necessarily get everything I'm saying, but that the seed is being planted and you can see it slowly sinking in, and then maybe you take some space from that person. But I really believe it's about trusting when to speak and when not to speak, and I think that only really comes when we work a little more with the throat chakra, right? Like I wouldn't say I'm perfect in any way, shape or form, but like the evolution of our awareness in this space and with the rest of our body, like what is actually just a voice from someone else. Usually if it comes in a voice, it ain't us. Like if there's a voice in the head, it's not you, it's not me, it's a voice of someone else that we've taken on board as a story. But we can choose the stories that feel good, like having the mantras that feel good, the things that feel good. And when we're in those situations, using the mantra, using the frequency of this thought that feels good to us to bring us back in, like, do I want to share this right now? Everything's working out for me. I trust myself. I trust myself to say what needed to be said or what needs to be said. You know, divine aligned and always on time is a great one. Or you know, something like that. Like if you feel called and someone's just not received you, maybe that's because an energy needed to be planted in their brain. Has this okay, sorry, last thing, and I promise I'll wrap it up, but like, has this ever happened to you guys when you say something, someone completely ignores it or says, yeah, I've tried that, but then 5 minutes later or 5 years later even, they'll say, oh, I thought of this thing, and say the exact same thing that you've said to them however many years ago or weeks ago or months ago, whatever. And I'll sit there like, complete invisibility. This is a superpower.
It's
Like,
happened many times. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So those seeds that we plant, maybe the reason I get slightly angry a little or frustrated or something inside, maybe that's because that was a time I could have kept that for myself and just wasted less energy, as it were, like expended less energy, having less leave me in that moment and kept it just flowing for myself. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Love it.
Boy. All right then, lovelies. Well, have either of you got anything to add? Because I know I've just kind of mouth blabbed at the end.
I think so.
No.
No, all good. All right.
Remember, it says in it, just remember that when you get surprised, that's when you feel more of you, when you feel surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. Well,
When you're
Paul has done
disappointed,
that.
you're not being you.
That's nice. It's nice to know as well, isn't it? Like when you can register that as a conscious thought. For example, in those moments, like if I'm disappointed, that's because that wasn't me, or something along those lines. Having that kind of story or
Have you
identity.
noticed when you feel surprised how you feel? Have you noticed like there is an energy to that than other people, like generators or projectors that feel surprised? They is quite different.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off like that. I just
Yeah, I like that.
Delicious. Thank you for your freedom. Thank you for your throat chakra. Thank you for your activations.
I love pondering on that though, Dig, because I think about something that's gone wrong, but then I'll observe my feeling. And if I'm feeling excited or surprised about potential opportunities as opposed to disappointed, it's like, well, it's okay, it's going to be okay. But then if I sit and think, oh, that's disappointing, then I know that maybe I should have gone for that opportunity or perhaps should have done something about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or I can then reflect and go, okay, well, I'm going to go and readdress that and make it better or make it, make it happen as opposed to choosing something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, yeah.
That's how I've
cool
sort
way
of
of
like applied it to myself. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Just piecing moments to my
Cool.
own life together in my head right now. Like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Surprise.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's
Love it.
take a minute. If you guys have a minute, we'll just take a nice deep breath in together. Hand on heart. Thank you so much for being here. It's a true pleasure and honor, a privilege as always to connect with you and for us to feel our divine alignedness of this moment. And yeah, may we carry forth from this moment with love in our hearts, with the strength and space for us to maintain healthy boundaries and relationships with ourselves and others. And may we continue to share our voice because it's special and important. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
See you again. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll see you guys next time.
Good
That's the
day.
plan.
Oh, have a good night.
Take care, lovely beings. Bye.
Bye. Thank you again. Bye.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye.